Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, it's the last day of my 3-day weekend, my short weekend, and I've already kind of done a hiking vlog this week, I've already done a cooking vlog this week, and I got one more day on my weekend before I go back for my long week at work. And I think next week I'm going to start painting the kitchen, but I don't want to start doing that today because I don't want to tear the kitchen apart and then have it, torn apart while I'm at work the whole time. So we'll start that next week. So I wanted to kind of go find something I could go out and maybe just look at and see and show you and just have a little fun kind of exploring Waco. And I decided I want to hit a couple of local breweries in the area. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to show you in these breweries because I don't know if they're really geared towards tours or anything like that, but I want to at least go check them out and see what's there. Now, one of them is called the Waco Ale Company, and I've seen them downtown. I've driven by them a couple times, walked past them a couple times, and I want to actually go in and check that out. I don't know if I can get in and actually get a tour of the brewing facility, or if it's just going to be one of those things where I, go in and, maybe taste some beers and maybe bring a few six-packs home or something like that. The other one is called Arms Brewery, and I've actually had this stuff before. You may recall when I did the Moroso Pizza Gallery place in Waco, did a restaurant review for them year and a half ago, that I was really impressed with a beer that they had that was a local brew called 1849 Bear Arms, and this is the company that made that. So I want to go check them out today. I'm not entirely sure, once again, I'm going to be able to see anything in there, but we're going to check it out and see what's there. I also noticed that there's kind of a funky little antique shop real nearby there, so I want to go check that out too. So let's go look at these brewing companies and see what we can see. Alright, here we are at Bear Arms Brewer, and I'm going to go in and see what I can see. Alright, so sometimes the best thing you can do is ask. I asked if I get a little tour, and they said, yeah, sure, come on back. So, tell me about all this.
Well, so we'll kind of work backwards. We'll find the brew house in the back, but so we'll start with our 3 20-barrel fermenters, which is a little bigger than you might expect.
Yeah, I would expect it to be a smaller batches on a brewery this size.
Yeah, but no, we actually have a 10-barrel brew house. So we can double batch into these, or most of the time I'll kind of use these as a big bright, just to kind of on our big flagship.
And the big flagship, is that the 1849?
1849, 35 special, Turbulence IPA, and Arms Shore Spears.
Okay.
What I consider our flagship, but yeah, this 10-barrel brew house, a little storage area. Everything's kind of produced in here. We got 3 10-barrel tanks, 1 10-barrel bright, big washer in the back. We do use RO, so the RO water is all kind of happening back there.
RO, what's that?
Just reverse osmosis water. Basically,
okay, is it okay?
We can kind of bring the water to as neutral as possible, and then we can kind of.
It's like it's moving towards like deionized water.
Yeah, basically, we're just stripping the water of all minerals, and we're kind of adding the ones we want for the specific style and all that. But
I used to work at a company that made compact discs, and we used reverse osmosis to create DI water.
Okay, yeah.
So that's kind of where I figured we were going with that.
Yeah, you're just stripping stuff away, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, we then have kind of a 1-barrel area back here where we kind of do our test batches. See what works, what doesn't.
Okay, so if you want to try something new, you try it back here in a small batch.
Oh, absolutely, all the time, yeah. And we want to brew something quirky, something weird. We kind of do it here first.
All right. So explain the brew process a little bit,
sure.
if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. So basically, our grains, most of the time don't come in, sacks like that.
Right.
Grains need to be basically stripped of the husk. They need to be broken down. That happens in the mill.
Okay.
Basically, everything runs through this guy. That is then, there's some coils inside that basically run the broken down grain at this point, into this guy, which is called the hopper.
Okay.
Basically just holds grain most of the time just overnight, just to kind of Makes it easy for the next day to get kind of going.
Right.
Then this guy, all it does is hold. It's called a hot liquor tank. Basically, just holds hot water.
Okay.
This guy holds about 20 barrels or 620 gallons. So again, hot water. Again, basically based on the whatever recipe we're doing that day, it'll be kind of a different temperature. Again, depending on what we're doing. So hot water and grain is mixed in here. See these out right now. They're about to be actually clean, but these go in the bottom of this guy, and it just kind of prevents the grain from, once we're done here, resting at different temperatures depending on what we're doing. It'll kind of make its way over to our boil kettle, which is where it'll get cooked, and by boiling we kind of basically sanitize the wort.
Okay.
Bacteria can't survive that temperature.
Right, right.
We introduce hops. Hops need to be basically at boiling temperature in order to kind of provide that bitterness that we want in beer. And then you also, when you boil, proteins will kind of coagulate out of the beer, out of the wort in this case. And again, you just, that way you kind of end up with a lot clearer wort out of, again, just those proteins kind of give us like weird flavors at times. And again, all that happens in here. It'll be boiled for an hour to an hour and a half depending on what the beer is. And then we'll kind of run this through our, this is called a heat exchanger.
Okay.
You basically have cold water and or glycol running adjacent to it in these plates. It's just really, really fine plates inside. And then that makes contact with that, and it just cools down the wort to, again, whatever temperature. A little colder if we're doing like something like a lager, and just a little warmer if we're doing something like an ale.
Kind of like a radiator in a car then, huh?
Yeah, basically, same concept. At the end of the day, you just want kind of that wort at that temperature that it's right to introduce yeast to it. You know?
Okay. And then that's where the fermenting takes place.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and then so yeast and wort mix in one of these, and then it's out of my hands. Kind of yeast does.
And how long does it stay in the fermenter?
So it'll basically ferment out for about a week.
Okay.
After that, finish off. We'll take out the yeast. Basically, the good thing about these guys is it just makes it easier. Kind of all that yeast will drop in here, and you can kind of harvest it depending on what you're looking for, or you just get the yeast out.
Right.
And normally for something like an ale, we'll then kind of let it condition for about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Does that continue in here?
Yeah, that continues in here.
Continues in the fermenter. Okay.
Yeah, so these all have glycol running through them. Basically, it just means that we can control the temperature. It's called crash it down when we're wanting to cool that, let everything drop, and then just kind of condition that beer for a little bit. We want it as cold as possible when it comes down to getting ready to carbonate it and all that stuff. Yeah, which is what happens basically in that
in the last tank there, huh? That's where the carbonation occurs. So that doesn't happen naturally with the fermenting then.
So we do a little bit of natural carbonation, a couple of basically gravity points away. We'll close this tank, and then basically just let that carbonation or that CO2 that is pushing out basically, collect itself into the beer, and it's not usually quite enough to be a proper carbonated beer, but it'll get close enough.
And of course, the longer you leave it in the fermenter, the higher alcohol content, right? Is that generally how that works?
It's based on kind of the sugars off the grains that you put in to the process, because you do leave behind some sugars. Again, it depends on the yeast. Some yeast will eat more sugar than others. That's kind of all based on the recipe and based on what we've seen in the past and stuff. But yeah, it just kind of lets those flavors kind of mellow out a little bit. It does feel good. For sure.
So it sounds like beginning to end, it's about a 2-week process then, huh?
A
little bit, maybe a little more.
Yeah, something like an IPA, you can probably get it out in 2 weeks. Something more like a lager, we have an Italian Pilsner that's on tap. that we've conditioned for over 8 weeks. So
8 weeks? Wow.
8 weeks,
Okay.
so sometimes they just take a little bit more time.
All right.
So that is it. Then we kind of drink it all on the tap. So.
All right. Well, let's go and do a little tasting.
All right.
So I've tried a couple of things. They gave me a little taster on some of the things that they've got here. I've had the 1849 lager. I've shown you. I've talked about that before, and looks like I'm going to try a couple of growlers of the Turbulence IPA and the Block 5 Rye IPA. So I'm going to take a couple of each of those home and enjoy those a little bit more. I think I'm also going to get myself a t-shirt, so going to support the cause here a little bit. All right, so I'd like to thank Arms Brewery for giving me their tour of this place. I'm going to go home now and enjoy a couple of the growlers I bought, and we'll go from there. Now, honestly, I planned to hit the 3 different places, the 2 breweries and the antiques place, all in the same time, because I didn't really know what I was going to get out of any of the places. I think because I actually got a reasonably good tour from Bear Arms, I'm going to go over to the other brewery, Waco Ale Company in downtown Waco, and check them out. And I think maybe we'll come back and look at the antique store at some other vlog. So let's go over to Waco Ale Company. All right, here we're coming up on the Waco Ale Company. While I was visiting the other place, they actually recommended a couple other breweries I had to check out at some point too. I told them I was coming here, and you know, so we'll see if these guys will be as accommodating as Bear Arms was, but this is going to be good too. All right, so I got permission to kind of film around in here. I can't get into the back area, but fortunately they got all the tanks right here inside the windows, so you know, we can see this. We got basically the explanation about how it all works over at the other place. So like I said, this is just another one of the same thing. Looks like this is a slightly larger operation, and they got different things going here. Looks like they got their Oktoberfest here, and their Playboy and second anniversary. And I can't read all the labels back there, but it looks like they got, you know, about looks like about 8 tanks back there. Let's go around the side and see what we can see. Good, how are you? It says employees only, but I don't think there's a problem with peeking through the window here, or peeking through the door. I guess the best angle to see all this is from the front. This is just kind of the back end of it. As they say at Disneyland, the back end of water. Alright, well, what I'm going to do is they're offering me a couple samples, so I'm going to try a couple things, and we'll maybe take some stuff home here too. So I'm going to go try some things, and I'll catch up with you in a few minutes. So I tried a couple of different things. I tried this Built for Comfort thing right here. Got to get my finger in the shot here. I also tried this Hopic Thunder here, which is right beneath it. And then the Playboy Hefeweizen. I thought that was kind of a delicious joke, Playboy Hef. So I tried that. I like the Playboy Hefeweizen, and I like the Hopic Thunder. So I got a growler of each of those. So we're gonna have a few beers to take home with us. All right, so that was I think a little bit more mass produced. I think I really like the Bear Arms Brewery better. The beer was a little good. I'm really a fan of like a hoppy beer, and the things they had weren't particularly that hoppy. And I asked, you know, I said, that's generally what I'm into. I'm usually into IPAs and a strong hoppy flavor, and this is what they recommended. So, like I said, the one I wasn't terribly interested in. The other one was okay, and the Hefeweizen tasted pretty good. So, like I said, I took one of each of those, and I bought a t-shirt from them also. All right, so I hope you found that interesting. I actually had a lot of fun, and I got to actually see more than I thought I would. Now, when I was at the Bear Arms Brewery. The guy that gave me the tour in the back room there showed me, or talked to me about a couple other breweries in town that he said I should check out. I told him I was going to go see the Waco Ale Company, and he said what you need to do is go check out Southern Roots Brewery and Brotherwell Brewery, which are both in Waco. Now, I've actually had the Brotherwell beer. I found this in the grocery store once. Was kind of you know, drawn to it because it had a picture of the Waco Suspension Bridge on the cover. So, you know, I thought, okay, well, we'll try that, just see what it was like. I wasn't really into it, but you know what? There's certain kinds of beers I like and certain kinds of beers I don't, and it doesn't necessarily follow the brand name. So I think we will, at some future vlog, go visit those other two breweries and see what we can see, and maybe we'll find some stuff that we like there too. So I hope you enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun for me. So I'm going to end this vlog now. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.